So, what does a tiny family farm have in common with the government of a global superpower? I know, it sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? But the answer gets right to the very heart of economics. Turns out, they both face the exact same fundamental problem. And because of that, they both have to answer the same three critical questions. Let's dive in and break it all down. Okay, so take a look at this. It's from a classic economics textbook, and it describes a really simple economy. You don't have to read every single word, but the main idea is this. Whether you're talking about a family farm that needs food and clothes or a weaver with a single loom, everyone has needs and wants. But here's the kicker. The resources to fulfill all those things, they're limited.
And right there, that's it. That's the central conflict of all economics, boiled down to just 4 words. Our wants as a society are, for all practical purposes, unlimited. We always want more. More stuff, better services, new experiences. But the resources to actually make all of that happen, we're talking land, labor, raw materials, they are fundamentally and always limited.
So this constant tug of war between our infinite desires and our finite means, well, that's what economists call the problem of scarcity. And this is the one problem that no society in the history of the world has ever solved. Why? Because it's just a permanent part of being human.
Now, it's really important to get this straight. Scarcity is not the same thing as poverty. It's just a simple, cold, hard fact that we don't have enough resources to produce everything that everyone wants. I mean, think about it. Even the wealthiest nations on Earth can't give every single citizen a private jet and a mansion, right? They still face scarcity.
And here's the direct result of scarcity. We have to make choices. Because we can't have everything, we are literally forced to decide. If we use our resources for one thing, it means we can't use those same resources for something else. Choice isn't optional here. It's an absolute necessity that's just baked into the fabric of our reality. And this inescapable need to choose means that every single society, I don't care how big, how small, how rich, or how poor it is, has to tackle the same set of basic challenges. It all boils down to 3 fundamental questions.
So, before I just give you the answer, think about it for a second. If you were put in charge of a whole economy, and you knew your resources were limited, what are the first, most basic questions you'd have to figure out?
And here they are. First, what are we going to make? What goods and services should we produce and in what quantities? Should we build more hospitals or more sports stadiums, more green energy or more consumer gadgets? Second, how are we going to make all this stuff? Do we use a lot of human labor or do we invest heavily in robots and automation? And third, and this is a big one, for whom are we making all of this? Who gets to enjoy the things we produce? Is it just for whoever can afford to buy it, or should it be distributed more equally?
Okay, so how do economists even begin to wrap their heads around this problem of choice and all these trade-offs? Well, they use this really elegant and powerful tool called the Production Possibility Frontier, or PPF for short, to make these big, abstract ideas really concrete.
To really get how this works, let's just simplify things way down. Imagine a tiny little economy that uses all of its land, all of its workers, all of its tools to produce just 2 things: corn for food and cotton for clothes. That's it. It has to decide how to split its resources between the 2.
This simple table shows us the different combinations it could possibly produce. Look at possibility A. It decides to go all in on cotton, making 10 units of cotton but 0 corn. Now look down at E. It's the total opposite. All corn, no cotton. And all those points in between, like B, C, and D, well, those just represent different mixes of the 2.
Now for the cool part. When we take those numbers from the table and plot them on a graph, we get this curve. This line is the production possibility frontier. What it shows us is the absolute maximum combination of corn and cotton this little economy can produce. Any point right on that line, A, B, C, D, or E, means they are using every single resource perfectly, with no waste.
And here is the single most important lesson that this graph teaches us. You can't get something for nothing. There's always a trade-off. To move along the curve, let's say from point B to point C, you get 1 more unit of corn. Awesome! But what's the cost? Well, you have to give up 2 units of cotton to make that happen. That's the trade-off.
This trade-off, this thing you have to give up, has a special name in economics: opportunity cost. The opportunity cost of getting that 1 extra unit of corn was the 2 units of cotton that had to be sacrificed. This is the true cost of any decision. It's not about the price tag, it's about the value of the next best thing you gave up to get what you wanted.
So societies have to choose what to produce, and every single choice has an opportunity cost. But who actually makes these choices?
How does a whole society decide where it wants to be on that curve? Well, this brings us to the two main ways that economies are organized. On one end of the spectrum, you've got the centrally planned economy. This is where a government or some central authority makes all the big calls about what to produce, how to produce it, and who gets it. On the complete opposite end, you have the market economy, where all those decisions just emerge from the free interactions of millions of people and businesses, all coordinated by the price signals that pop up in markets.
But in the real world, of course, no country is purely one or the other. Every economy you see out there today is actually a mixed economy. They mostly rely on markets, but governments always play a role, stepping in to manage things like public schools, national defense, and setting regulations for industries. The real debate is never about which system to have, but always about the degree of that mix.
So what's the big takeaway here? Those three fundamental questions, what, how, and for whom, they're not just some dusty theory from a textbook. They are being answered all around you, every single day. They're answered in the price of your coffee, in the kinds of jobs available in your town, and in the taxes you pay. So the next time you go shopping or you read the news, just ask yourself, how is my society answering these questions, right here, right now?